Well, here we are. I'm in Miami. Did you guys hear? Hanging out in Miami. Today is day 2 of the Inner Circle seminar, which has been absolutely awesome. What I want to do for you guys, I want to let you know that I bet a lot of you guys are probably feeling a little FOMO that you're not here in Miami with us. Everyone's in there, and I'm going to go in and do the recap in 1 second. So I decided for this Inner Circle that I do something that we've actually never done before. I knew a lot of people at the last minute weren't able to make it. You know, this is what happens when you have a conference really close to the holidays. So what I decided to do, and I just did this like the week before we came out here, is I got a couple of these free cameras. You know what we're doing? Recording the whole event. So everything that's happening here, breakout sessions, live trading, it's all being filmed. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to put a link right in the description. I'm going to post it there probably in, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes when I finish this recap. So you guys, if you want to register and get a virtual seat, you can get a virtual seat. The only thing I need to cover is the cost of the cameras. About 3 cameras, all right? So I gotta cover the cost of the cameras, so you're gonna pay for the virtual seat, but if you guys wanna join us, you can basically be watching the whole event, all right? So it's not a live stream, it's a recording. So what we're gonna do is later this week, tomorrow, Friday, and all of next week, we're going to be editing all this footage, putting it together, and then we'll email you the virtual seat recordings. All right, you guys? So I want you to click that link right there in the description if you haven't already, and sign up for a virtual seat. So now, I'm going to make this official. We're going to go live. All right, you guys. Can everyone hear me? All right, so we are going to start doing our watch list, or our recap. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, you guys, so let's break down the trades from this morning. We're going to recap FWP and TCCO. These were the 3 stocks I traded this morning. And let me turn around my computer here so I can kind of see what I'm looking at here. Okay, so you guys can see this is, I don't even know what day this is, the small account challenge. What is it? 6th, 7th day? 7th day, all right. Well, 7th day, but sadly it is a red day. So this is my 2nd red day of the challenge. In fact, my first red day was day 2, which was pretty disappointing because you don't like to have your 2nd day of the challenge be a red day. Day 1 I made 158, day 2 I lost $12. And, or actually it might have been like $22 after commission. So that was a red day, and I decided to, whatever, just kind of put that behind me. Ended up doing pretty well. This morning I came in with $1,425 in the account. This is the account that started with $520 7 days ago. So starting with a small account, growing it up, and today is the biggest red day, down $348. Which is really disappointing just because, obviously having 3 red trades, max loss, just all around, it's not a great day. So I want to kind of break down the day starting with LNPX, then we'll go into FWP, and then we'll cover TCCO, which was the 3rd and final trade, and that was the one that kind of shut me down today. Now I sort of followed the philosophy of 3 strikes you're out today, which, I don't know, maybe I should have just taken the strike out after 2 red trades. The problem for me is that in my big account, and Rob knows this because I called Rob and I said, hey Rob, from Lightspeed, can you set a max loss on my account of $1,000? And what did you say, Rob? No problem. That's right. Rob's quick with the answer. So he said, no problem, I'll set the max loss. So in my Lightspeed account, if I'm down more than $1,000, I cannot initiate any more trades. It's a hard max loss on my account. I didn't set that up with Sterling. The reason I didn't set it up is because I knew with a $500 account, and as I grew it over the first 10 days, that my max loss would sort of be changing every single day. On day 1, it was like $50. If I lost $50, I had to stop trading. Day 2, once I was up to 650, it it was like, all right, well, I guess maybe $65. Then as I got up to, 800, 900, I was like, okay, I guess I'll set my max loss at around 10% of the account, roughly. So today, coming in with a max loss of roughly 10% of the account, give or take, would have been about $140. On the very first trade, I lost 44 bucks. So the first trade was on LMPX, and I'm gonna let's see if I can delicately do this. At one point, I don't remember when I was moving into my new office, I have my 6-monitor, multi-monitor trading station, and I didn't want to take the time of taking it apart. So I had all 6 monitors, and I just put them in the trunk of my my car, and then I couldn't find good parking on Main Street. So because our office is on Main Street, so I ended up finding a parking spot, and I had to pull it out of the car. And I walked up Main Street, holding these 6 monitors like this kind of crazy thing. But it ended up being fine. None of them broke on the walk, so that's good. And this is kind of precarious, but we'll just work with it. Okay, so and for those streaming on YouTube, you can see this is the live trading screen. So live trading all day today in front of all of these students here. So LMPX, let's pull up the chart on this one. All right, so LMPX, this one was on our watch list. I've traded it over the last several days, and I've done pretty well on it. I've actually made some good money on it. I made $427 on this stock on Friday, and then I made a little bit of money on it yesterday. So, overall it's been a pretty good one. I was impressed that it was gapping up again this morning, gapping up to a pre-market high of $19.50. And I was thinking, this is the stock that just doesn't want to stop. I mean, it just keeps going higher. So initially, my thought on it was that it's along over 1950, the pre-market high. The bell rings, and if I pull back this chart here, you can see that the way I've got this set up is daily, 1 minute and 10 seconds. And I'm doing that, mostly for the benefit of you guys being able to see kind of within a 1 minute candle, the sort of minuscule indicators that I had that gave me the confidence to press the buy button. Okay, so the stock has this pre-market high of 1949. The bell rings and it's down here at 1650, so it's a little low. It starts to curl up, and I'm like, no, I don't like this, because the fact that it broke this consolidation pre-market and broke 18, to me felt like weakness. So I was like, I really don't like it until it gets up closer to 19, the pre-market highs, and then I like it for a break of 1950. So as it surges up here, I got in right here as it broke 19. Now, the tough thing with this, even looking at it now, is that was a really extended entry. The reason I got in there was because I thought if it broke 19, that was the tipping point that we would definitely break the pre-market high. If we broke the pre-market high, we would rip up to 20. And I was wrong. It squeezed up to a high of about 940, 938 or something like that. And I was holding. I had about, I think, 100? No, I think I had 300 shares. So 300 shares of it, and I was holding. I gave it a second, and then when I started to see some red on the time and sales, I hit the bid. I saw 19 on the bid. I got filled at 1871. So I got 30 cents of slippage. Well, that's going to happen with a stock like this. And so my entry at 19, if I'd been able to get out at 19, would have been flat. But I lost closer to 30 cents or something like that. So in any case, I guess it wasn't 30 cents. Or maybe I did have 150 shares and it was 30 cents. I don't know. In any case, I took my loss on that and started the day in the red, down $44. Now, I also started the day yesterday in the red, and it was also on LMPX, so I wasn't too concerned yet. I still was like, okay, I think we can still do something today. Now, I'll put the gap scanner up here. Our leading gapper this morning was TNXP. So what does TNXP have going for it? The float, 700,000 share float. The gap is up 40%. But what it doesn't have going for it is that the price is too cheap at $1.33. I don't like that price. And the volume pre-market, this is the volume as of right now. If I press this, I can go to time frame and then historical date, and then I'll run this for 9:20 a.m. Pre-market, it already had 3 million shares of volume. So it had a lot of volume. I felt that it was going to be crowded and unlikely to be really particularly clean. The bell rings, and you can see TNXP squeezed up. TNXP squeezed up a little bit, but it didn't hold its level super well and is now retraced and come back down. So for me, it just doesn't really fit into the wheelhouse, primarily because the price is a little too low and the float, although being low, doesn't overcome the fact that the volume pre-market was really high. So there was a little opportunity there, a break in the pre-market high, gave a quick rip up to $1.70, but here's the interesting thing. On this stock, being below $4, with my CMEG account, I have no margin. So I can only trade with my $1,400 cash balance, which means at $1.50, I can only buy about 900 shares. Okay, so 900 shares. So if I got in this with 900 shares, if I got the best, kind of entry, which is the break of pre-market high, and then held all the way to the top, that's only 20 cents. $188. These low-price stocks, they don't have often as much range until they start to get above $2.50, $3, and then they start to open up a little bit more. So for me, I just kind of felt like the profit potential was capped. The risk was still a solid 10, 15 cents, and it wasn't really worth taking the trade. I don't want to risk 10, 15 cents to make only 20. And 20 was like best case scenario. So no trades on TNXP. I just left that one alone. All right, now the next one was FWP. And this one was on the watch list because yesterday it made a pretty impressive move. This stock squeezed up from $6 all the way up to 11. Almost 100% move right here. You can see reverse split and then the surge up. Pre-market, it was holding right around $9, and I thought that if it broke over 10 right here, that was the tipping point, that then we have a high likelihood of ripping up to 11, making a new high versus yesterday's high. 1148 was resistance on the daily chart, and that gave us room back up to 1525. These levels I found by looking left, right? This is what we talk about, looking left and up. And so we had to go back a little ways, but then we found this big gap on the daily chart back here. So this is what we cover in chapter 4 of Day Trade course. Now, on this one, what I ended up doing was, as soon as the bell rang, I had it on watch. I was also watching LMPX. And I wasn't sure it was really going to work, but I kept an eye on it. And all of a sudden, right here, it started to surge up. It surged up. The pre-market, or the high of day, was 950 right here. It dips down, and as it surges back up, I got in right here. Look at this. This is terrible. I got in right before all of that red volume. So I was in at 950, 948. And I was thinking I was getting in. This is a red to green move. It went red, now it's going green. I'm getting in, target, break at 10, and then I move up towards 11. So I was looking for that rip back up. In this case, what we had here was a hidden seller at 950. Now, sometimes I'll give a hidden seller a second to kind of shake out, because you don't always know how many shares they're selling. So I saw a lot of accumulation at 950. I could see buy orders going through, but it wasn't breaking that price. And then it did break, and it popped up to 58. And I was like, okay, fine, we're through the sell. And then it dropped back down to 950. And I was like, God damn it. Then it flushes and drops down, as you can see, to 850. So on this one, I ended up stopping out as it broke back through 9. And so on that trade, I lost $144, making it the biggest loss of the small account challenge. Now, no doubt, I will be setting a number of records for biggest win and biggest loss of this challenge as I go further in, because my account's getting bigger. So it's not the biggest loss because I mismanaged risk or anything like that. It's just the biggest loss because I'm trading with larger share size at this point in the challenge. On this trade, I think I had, I don't remember if it was 300 shares, or no, it was 600 shares. So I was using my margin, of course, on this, and I took a bigger position. So 600 shares, and on that I lost, I don't know, what, 20 cents or so, 25 cents, which, all things considered, is still a pretty tight stop, for that stock of this amount of range. It dropped down to 850, but I was already out. Okay, so now I've got 2 losses, and this was about, 8 minutes into the day. So I was like, well, this is terrible. I'm trading, obviously I always trade in front of a pretty large audience, but it feels especially so today. And so I thought that, this is obviously not what I was hoping to have happen. The first loss, second loss, so at that point I'm down about $188. And I thought, well, based on the 10% rule, I'm kind of past that. Based on the 3 strikes, you're out. Obviously, I've still got one more swing left. And so then we started talking a little bit about the trades, what was happening, and I talked about how this is a day where it didn't feel like we had a lot of momentum, nothing was really moving. And it was at about that time that TCCO popped up on the scans. So TCCO, of course I couldn't trade it yesterday because my O key wasn't working. But today my O key is working just fine. So I typed in TCCO, the stock pops up, and it almost seemed like maybe my key was working because I was meant to trade this stock. I don't know. I'm a little superstitious. So I saw it popping up here, and it squeezes up. Well, actually, we have a couple of, let me break this down a little bit more. So I'll go full screen on this. So first of all, to give you guys context, 2 days ago, when I was flying to Miami here, it squeezed from $4 all the way up to 10. It gapped up from 2 to 4, and then squeezed to 10. That's a huge move. Yesterday, a little pullback day, nothing happened. Today, it starts bouncing off the low, and I said, guys, this to me, I think is going to be a false breakout, and that was right around 9:51. And you know what? I was right. It was a false breakout. It broke there, the high there about 6:30, and then flushed back down towards 6, or whatever that was. It was right around there. So it's a false breakout. Didn't hold the level, and I thought, yeah, good job. You were right. It was a false breakout. You called that. The thing I didn't like about it is, you'll see this is very empty. There's no news on the stock. There's no news on it. It's just a bounce off the low. So, this is not uncommon to see a stock drop and then off the low, a little bit of a bounce. And you'll sometimes see me take that type of trade. But today, not having a cushion, felt like I couldn't really afford the risk. And this is something that we talked about yesterday in the small cap breakout session, is the importance of those first 2 trades building your cushion. One of you guys asked me, you're sitting I think over here, at what point do you switch from focusing on base hits to trying to maybe hit a home run, getting aggressive? I don't usually do that until I first build up my cushion. The first job for me every day is to build my cushion. So the first 2 or 3 trades, if I can get myself up $200, $300, that's what I'm focusing on. Today I did the opposite of that. I lost money on the first 2 trades, and so as a result, trade 3 or 4 is popping up. Now I'm feeling like I don't know if I can really trust it. I don't know if this is really going to open up, if it's going to make the move I want. I'm not feeling accurate today. The market feels like it's not hot. I'm red. I can't afford risk. And so what I'm doing is I'm increasing my quality standard. I'm saying that I'm not willing to take a 3rd trade unless I see something that's really strong, that's proving itself worthy of me, jumping into. And so we see right here this rip back up through the high to false breakout, a 1-minute pullback, and I saw it and I was kind of like, I don't know, and then it rips up here and consolidates around 650. And I was about to take this trade, and then you started asking me questions. You started asking me questions. And so I started talking about it.
It's my fault.
So I didn't take the trade. And then it rips up to $6.80, $6.90, $7, all the way up to $7.60. I wouldn't have taken that trade, though. I wouldn't have taken it because it still had no news. It was still risky. But then this proved itself to me. This proved that it had strength. It was clearly very strong, from 6 all the way to 7.8. It then pulls back, pops up, pulls back, and I got in right here. That was where I got in. This I thought was the beginning of an ABCD pattern. And in fact, I was right. It was. But this was the breakout right there. So it popped up, pulled back, and then it broke. So on that one right there, I stopped out and lost $158, making it now, at that point, my biggest loss of the small account challenger, $159. So, today is a day where I have a little bit of a setback. Over the last 7 or 8 days of the small account challenge, I grew it from $500 up to $1,400. So let's say that's 9 steps forward, and today I've taken 3.5 steps back. That's maybe 1 step back more than I would have liked. And that last trade on TCCO, I really thought that it looked good. It seemed like a decent setup. It did end up going to the high, but I was a little early perhaps on my timing. I couldn't afford to hold through the pullback. The proper stop was 688, but there was no way I could afford to hold that far down. So I stopped out here only to watch it run without me. And that's sometimes the way it goes. In the past, and I'll tell you, my first trade was with 300 shares. My second was with 600, my third was with 900. Increasing share size as I was getting further into the day. That's kind of the opposite of what I typically do. And I've thought about this a lot, why I sometimes will increase share size as I get further into the day when I'm going red. And of course, the thought is that, well, now I'm red, if I can grab 20 cents with 600 shares, that's 120 bucks. So it's a quick bounce back up into the green. And so that's a tendency that I have. It's something that, in this case, ended up making the first loss small, the second one a little bigger, the third one a little bigger. I would say I managed my risk relatively well on these. However, it is a red day. I think that in hindsight, I could say that I shouldn't have traded TCCO, but of course, had it gone the other way and broken 750, 760, and ripped up to 788 right here, well, I'd feel like the hero, you know? From down 188 to up $50 or $100, maybe $200. Look at this guy. Not only is he handsome and has a great hairline, he also can get himself out of the red and back into the green. So, you know, but of course, this is one of the days where it went the other way. One of the worst things that can happen to you as a trader is having positive reinforcement of a negative behavior, of a bad behavior. I wouldn't say this is bad behavior, but I think that the act of increasing share size as I go further into the red is very dangerous. And I've done it to the point, and this wasn't when I was trading at light speed, but you know, at the beginning of my career, where what I would start doing is I would start the day with sort of small size, and then I would trade a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, until those last trades where I was down sometimes $3,000 or $4,000, I'd be trading with like 15,000 shares, 20,000 shares, 25,000, because it was like, well, you know, with 25,000 shares, if I make 10 cents, I'm up 2,500 bucks. Just like that, I'm out of the hole. One of the things we've talked about a little bit in the breakout session was the fact that the curve of profitability as you increase share size is not linear. It is for a while, and then it starts to taper, and then it actually starts to go down, and that's because of slippage. You cannot day trade with 100,000 shares in and out, in and out. You just simply will lose more in slippage than you make in profit. And so having the presence of mind that I know that that's how snowball days are formed. It starts with going a little red and then deeper and deeper and deeper. I know Chris, I don't know where he is right now, but I know he was a semi-professional poker player. And you know, I know that we sometimes talk about how some people come into the market and they gamble, and some people come into the market and they trade a strategy and they consistently make money. And as when you gamble, if you play blackjack, it's not an uncommon strategy to take the approach of, you know, if you lose 50 on the first hand, then the next you risk 100, and then 200, and then 400, and then 800, and then 16, then 32, then 64, knowing that when you finally win on the last one, it'll make back those losses, and then you're back to flat. That doesn't work with trading. It's sometimes an instinct that we have, not because maybe you're super familiar with blackjack, but just of the natural instinct that to get back, I've got to go bigger. And on the one hand, there are days like today where it may have worked out, and then you feel like, oh, you know, relief, I'm back in the green, and you know, I've dodged a bullet. But then what about that time where, you know, you reach the limit of your brokerage account, and you simply cannot take more shares, especially with a small account like mine? I would hit that limit very quickly. Or what about the limit of the liquidity of the market, where you simply cannot buy 50,000 shares of TTCO and expect to get filled at 725 or 726? You'd get filled with probably 20 cents of slippage, and then that takes away all the profit, especially if it rips up and then does a false breakout right back down. So the traits of a successful trader are discipline and knowing when to walk away. It's not about not having red days, it's about minimizing the red days or minimizing the damage as much as you can. So today's a red day, it's a disappointing day, because any day I come in, I of course want to be green, but I try to detach myself from the loss, that this isn't by any means a reflection of, you know, me personally. It's not a reflection against my strategy. This is just another day in a series of, you know, thousands of days of me trading. You know, it's a regular day. a red day, but nonetheless, nothing that I should be bent out of shape over. I think as a beginner trader, a red day carries a lot more significance because it brings up that question of, have I figured this out yet? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I going to get over this learning curve? Am I going to stop having days like this as frequently as I'm having them? I was having red days, not like this, but red days where I was, giving back 900. If today was a $900 or $1,000 loss, that would have been 9 steps forward and 9 steps back. And I've had days like that in my career. Those are the days where, I was having them like every 4 weeks. And so the money that I had taken out of my account to pay bills, now I was negative versus 4 weeks, right? So I was going down and down and down, having to add more money. And that was a really stressful process, that part of learning. So again, I really want to encourage you guys who are here today, this afternoon, to spend a few minutes. If you feel like you're in the place where the emotions are what's holding you back, ask yourself, what is it that I need in order to be a profitable trader? And you may not know the answer yet, but if you can ask yourself that and think about that, and if the answer has anything to do with discipline, and an ability to follow the rules, an ability to know when to walk away, whether it's red or green, then I really encourage you to reach out to our trading psychology team, Ted and Diane, who are in the back here. They're happy to have sessions with any of you guys who are here, part of the inner circle. Those of you guys who want to reach out to them, I really encourage you to do that. For me, it is still something I struggle with at times, but I've at least come to learn when I have hard cutoffs, and I hit them a little more often than I'd like at times, but when I hit them, I'm done. And right now, I'm the only one holding me accountable from not continuing to trade. I have no max loss on the account. I am still perfectly liquid in buying power. I could have taken this trade right here on TCCO. This breakout at the flat top at about 75. I liked it. I was interested. And I told myself, you've already got 3 losses, and I can't take it. But I'm the only one enforcing that rule, right? So give myself a pat on the back for having discipline to follow the rules. If 3 strikes, you're out, even though I kind of, went past the max loss rule. Although I think that speaks to the fact that when you don't have a clear rule, kind of in writing, then it's sort of not a rule. If it's just kind of a, I probably shouldn't do this, but, don't really have like a hard number, that's a problem. You can't really be wishy-washy with rules when you're a habitual rule breaker. You've got to have a very clear set of rules. So I think tomorrow, when I'm trading with what will now be a $1,000 account, a little bit of a setback, still up 100% in the last week, I'll stick with $100 max loss because now I'm a little bit on the defensive side. I've got to be a little careful as I kind of build that account back up. All right, so this afternoon what we're going to do, we're going to have our breakout sessions, small caps, large caps, and I'll get to your question in a second. And futures, we'll do that as well. Lunch is going to be upstairs, and I want you guys to know that you may have noticed we've got a couple cameras. We've been filming the whole Inner Circle seminar, and so you guys who are here today, you'll all get a copy that you can keep. So you can go back, rewatch it. You want to watch me lose 3 times in a row? On replay? So those people who are watching on YouTube, we're going to make the live recording available for sale. So if you guys want to join, you'll see the link in the description to watch that. And so why don't we do a little bit of Q&A? I can answer some questions that you guys may have. Lunch is going to be in about 10 minutes, and because it's a little cloudy and rainy, we're going to have lunch upstairs in, it sounds like one of the penthouses. So we're going to be all taking the elevator. They said the only problem is they only have one elevator, and we'll have to take it at the same time. So we're going to squeeze in. As long as you guys don't mind and don't have a fear of tight spaces, it should be good. Oh, yeah, I've got to cut the hair. I will take that under advisement, and I will consider that. It's probably not a bad idea, and I do probably have an inch that I can spare. So maybe you're right. Maybe if I can find a pair of scissors at the front desk, to do it. Does anyone? I saw a couple questions. I want to toss the mic back. You have a question over there? Okay. I'll send it to you. There you go. Nice catch. Yeah. So the question there, for those that didn't hear, if you have a loss on your first trade, why increase share size? Because you just keep it the same, as that. There are two issues. Number one, I increased my share size on FWP partially because it was just simply a lower price stock. Now, LMXP, I took 300 shares of, but it's a $17 stock. So FWP, I was kind of okay with trading 600 shares, 500 to 600 being okay for that price range. It's really the final trade on TCCO where I went up to 900, which is the biggest position I've taken so far. That is the one that was, I was watching level 2. I really thought that it was going to break that level. I thought I could get in and get out for a quick profit, and I think I underestimated how much it might drop, because you guys saw how it dropped back to 705, and then I was like, I gave it a chance to pop back up. I put an order on the ask at 25, it didn't fill, and then I was like, okay, well, let's just see for a second, and then it flushed, and I had to stop out. So on that one, I think that was one of those maybe slightly more impulsive trades that I didn't fully think out, I'm going to take 900 shares on this trade. I just looked at it and was like, I think it's going to break out now. Click, click, click. And then I'm in. And it's so quick that it's like, okay, this one maybe was a mistake. But I was quite confident in it for the two reasons that, one, it had already shown a willingness to make a really big breakout. I figured there were a lot of people that missed this, and that they would buy the first pullback. The first pullback popped up, pulled back, and typically this is beginning with an ABCD pattern, and that's the breakout. This ended up being a more extended ABCD pattern, with this being A, B, and C point being a little higher. A, B, C, and then pulling back up here on 850 750 is a breakout. So I just mistimed it a little bit. Sometimes you have the right idea and you're a little early, and it is disappointing when that stops you out for the day and you're below your max loss, and you're like, or you're hit 3 strikes, you're out, and you're like, well, now I can't trade anymore. So I try, and I said this the other day with LMPX, that I want to make sure I leave myself room to take a couple stabs at this. So the first couple trades I was trading like 150 or 200 shares, but today I didn't do that, and I think on this one I thought that this was maybe the last kind of good opportunity of the day, so I took a harder swing on it. It's a good question though. I think that there's a lot to be said for consistent share size across the board, and certainly with Lightspeed and with Sterling, you can set share size restrictions, where you won't trade with a bigger size. Like, that's what I did last month. I had Rob set a 2,000 share max size on my big account, even though I knew that was going to be frustrating for me, because there would be days where I would see something I'd want to take 10,000 shares, but it's what I need to do to train myself to trade with a small account. And those first 2 weeks were bumpy, because I was going in with 2,000 shares on my first trade, and then if I lose 50 cents, I'm down $1,000. I'd be like, oh my God, all right, well, now when I see the next setup, I want to be able to take 4,000. So I can jump out quickly, and if I get 20, 30 cents, I can start to put a dent in that faster, but I couldn't. So the first few days, I kind of ran into this issue of taking full size right away, hitting my max loss, or being down quite a bit, and knowing that there was almost no way I was going to be able to get back up with that size. And so then I started kind of thinking, well, you're going to feel this, you're going to have the same experience with a small count of share size, so don't go into max share size on the first trade. And I haven't hit my max share size on anything since the first 3 days or 4 days of trading. Now I've been kind of tapering back how much buying power I'm using as the P&L's going up, so I can leave myself room if I do see something I want to go really big on, that I could. So it's a little bit tough. But yeah, let me answer your question there in the box.
Yes, Mr. Cameron, I remember in one of your last lessons you mentioned that you work if you're always in the dark, wouldn't even think you statements. Now my question is, for us who are working with similar, how are you going to watch us?
How am I going to watch you?
Yeah, well, what time will you let me know that I'm capable of using the money?
So what we did with this new simulator, with the Sterling sim, we built in the metrics. So the metrics that you look at sometimes on my trader view, I won't pull them up right now, but when you look at my trader, actually, no, I will, because what I can show you, I can show you my first let's see, my first 5 days, let's see, let's go to TraderView here. I imported my trades from TraderView from the first 5 or 6 days of the small account challenge. Let's see, reports view. So what we did for you guys is we built out the metrics in the simulator so you can get a sense of what's working and what's not working. So these are my first 4 days in the small accounts. This was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This is gross profit, which is before commission. Net profit right here, I was red, as you can see, actually it was $22 on Tuesday. So $516 of profit there, and what I can see is my profit loss ratio. Okay, so average winning trade the first 5 days, $104 first 4 days. Average losing trade is $55. So that's 2-to-1 profit loss ratio. That's terrific. Accuracy, 75%. That's actually incorrect. My accuracy was higher than that. What's interesting is that when this imports the trades, it counts your accuracy and says I only took 8 trades. It actually counts your accuracy based on whether you're green or red on that stock on that day, which is kind of odd because if I trade a stock 5 times, I was considering that 5 individual trades and 5 individual winners, which is how it's calculated when I import from Lightspeed. But they calculated it differently. So it ended up bringing my whole number of trades down and the winners down as well. But in any case, we have all of this data available to you in the Sterling Sim under the metrics window, so you can analyze your performance. You can see whether or not you meet the standards in the profit trifecta of trading, of being profitable. And of course, you would recognize it based on you're making money, but this helps you dial in and see, okay, my accuracy is this, my profit loss ratio is this, so this is what I need to focus on if I really want to keep, improving and getting better. So that's what we have it set up as. Tim is able to log in as a manager, and I can do it as well. And as a manager logged into Sterling, it'd be like kind of like a hedge fund manager. I can see all of the accounts, so I can see the biggest winners, the biggest losers. Of course, there's about 2,000 people that are trading the simulator on any given day. So there's tons of active trades. So we really wanted to give you the ability, empower you to go through your metrics and analyze it based on what we talked about in the classes, profit loss ratio and everything else. So I think you had a question in the back here. Yeah. The stock chart. Okay. So the question there, for those guys that didn't hear, is about whether the VWAP crossing moving averages or touching moving averages is some type of indicator of strength or weakness. I personally don't put emphasis on moving average crossovers as a day trader. There are some people that emphasize certain moving average crossovers like the golden cross or death cross, stuff like that, in the context of swing trades on larger time frames like daily charts, but as a day trader, the problem is these indicators all lag slightly behind the price action. So I would say that anytime the stock is trading at the VWAP, it's trading obviously, at its average price with volume factored in of the day. So it's kind of really at equilibrium. Sometimes we see stocks come down to that point, hold support, and then rip off that level. Other times we see them come to the VWAP and then flush and break through it really sharply, and then we get that drop. So this is kind of at balance. Honestly, to me, the stock had already done a false breakout on the 5-minute chart, TCCO. It was at balance here, but it had no news. I thought it was premature on the daily chart for it to be making a new high, and I'm surprised that it broke out. So, it's one of these things with trading. The market can be irrational, longer than you can remain solvent if you really are headstrong and say, I'm shorting this stock here at 620. It's got no news. It's definitely going to go lower. Next thing you know, it's at 7, 750, 8. What if it crazy action rips up to 9, 10, 11, 12, and you're sitting there saying, stock has no news, it has no business being up this much. Well, maybe you didn't know that some hedge fund manager decided to tell his traders to go buy 300,000 shares of the stock because whatever, he knows the CEO and he believes it's going to go up. I mean, you just don't know. The market, there are things that you don't know about the market, why stocks are going up and down, so you just have to trade what's in front of you. And if you see it, surging up, bouncing off the VWAP, sign of strength, first pullback, maybe it's worth considering. I didn't really like it there, but it ended up working. So, so I guess the short answer is I don't put a lot of emphasis in it other than just helping me understand the context of the stock. So why don't we take a break here? It's just about noontime, so I'll let you guys head upstairs for lunch. And I think there'll be some... Oh, so in 5 minutes, so you guys don't have to rush, but in about 5 minutes you'll be able to head upstairs for lunch, and then we'll meet back here around 1:15. We'll do, again, small cap breakout session, large cap breakout sessions, and features as well. All right, you guys, so I will see you all back here at 1:15. All right, what'd you guys think of that? So you guys got a little sneak preview. Here's Rob from Lightspeed Trading.
Hi.
And there's the guys from Sterling. So come back outside here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. This seminar's been awesome. We've had a great turnout. Great group of traders. I think everyone has made some really good friends, and they'll be, kind of the buddy system, someone that is going to help hold them accountable over the next 6 months or so until we meet again for the next Inner Circle seminar. But those of you guys that are wishing that you'd been able to be here, you couldn't travel, it's too expensive, I get it. That's why I got the video cameras this last week. We recorded the whole thing. So these small breakouts, one camera will be with me, one will be with Mike, one will be with Steve. So you guys are going to be able to have a virtual seat to the Inner Circle. So check out that link in the description. We're going to give you guys a little discount for those of you guys that join this week, and we'll be sending out the replay, the recording of this whole event very soon. All right, you guys, so I will see you all later. As always, please, if you guys had questions while I was talking, while I was trading, leave them down below in the comments. Give me the thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.